Hello, happy new day. Welcome back to this session. This is going to be a great session today as we discuss, we talk about, we decode, we unpack having a daily routine and the importance of having a daily routine and, some tips on how you can, upgrade, glow up, whatever you want to call it, your daily routine. So let's not hold off. Let's get this started. First and foremost, just want to talk about why it's important to have a daily routine, only because right now we are in the midst of closing out the second month of 2024 and opening up the third month, which soon will be our first quarter close. We are fastly approaching the first quarter close, the first 90 days of the year. This is such an imperative time. Why? Because I know most of you, like myself, you have set your goals, whether it was in 2023 or the beginning of the year. You set your goals. There's things you want to do, hopefully in that plan with those goals or your financial plans as well, because I do want you, anyone listening, to be free, to understand that being debt free is so freeing, and I want everybody to have that feeling. So hopefully part of your plan is that, but it may not be. It may be finances, it may be your physical health, which is definitely important because we know health is what? Wealth as well. So whatever your goals are, having a daily routine is so imperative. And most times I often think, why do people, or why do we, and even thinking myself, get off of that routine? And I just wanted to share some tips. These are just my truths. These are not the end all of all. I mean, of course, you can, you should always have your own truths of what you should do, but these are some things I just want to share that I do to make sure I'm keeping a daily routine in all areas of my life. So let's get started. Number one, I will say it, you must write it down. Writing down your vision, writing down your plan for the month, for the quarter, for the year, for the years to come is so important. And I know sometimes we try to bypass that step because we have it all in here, all in our head, and it just works differently when it's in your head versus when it's on paper. I truly believe when you put things on paper, words have the power to transform us. So when you put it on paper, these are your words, these are your vision, these are things that you desire to manifest in your life. So when you put it on paper and make it clear, so in what areas of your life, if you want to, like I said, grow or glow up in the areas of finances, in the areas of faith, and whatever areas of your life, write it down. And while writing it down, it's just a reminder. So as you wake up and then you get a little, let's say you get a little lazy about exercising, you grab that notepad and you see, or that journal, and you look at that goal, or before you go to bed, you look at those goals. And what it does is it's supposed to motivate you. And what motivation does is it requires you to move. To move where? To move towards your goal. So you have to motivate you. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. How do you do that? By documenting the process, by writing it down. So that's one tip that I always do, just always writing it down, always having my daily gratitude journal, because I want to be grateful. I always want to have a grateful heart. A grateful heart is a magnet for success, making sure that I'm journaling out or writing out the plans that I have, breaking those goals up in 30, 60, 90 day cycles is so important. Those goals become truly, and this is a pro tip, the goals become truly heavy when you put them in yearly terms. It just seems like it's such a big goal, but if you take that yearly goal and break it up into 30, 60 day, 90 cycles, it just starts to look a little achievable. So writing it down is so important. And number two is just having a morning routine. Most people get up, and I know most people do this, and they're probably winging it each morning. But what happens is, think about it, you get up, and when you wing it, when you don't get up and truly decide, you have to get up and you have to decide, okay, this is the type of day I'm going to have. So you have to have a morning routine. Let's say my morning routine, one of it is exercise. It's so important. Sometimes I may not have the time to get in an hour worth of exercise, but what I do have the time to do is to do a little bit of Pilates, to do some planks, something to get my body going. Why? Because God didn't design us to be idle. We're supposed to move. So that's one of the things I want to do when I land, once I've, done my gratitude journal, visited my goals. I want to land on my feet and I want to get up and I want to exercise and move my body. So that's part of my routine, whether it's 15 minutes or whether it's an hour. That's so important. And then part of that routine is building my faith. Faith is so important. Most times it's hard to achieve anything in life without belief, and especially without having faith. And so just having, spending time, whether that's reading, whether that's listening to podcasts or listening to positive motivating things, or just, guess what, just motivating myself as well, speaking positive affirmations, not just speaking them, but believing them. But having a belief system as part of my routine is so very important. And then lastly, this is so important, part of my routine is I decide the type of day I'm going to have. See, when you wake up and you go out, and if you let the world decide the type of day you will have, guess what? You're probably not going to have a great day. You're not going to have a great month, because the world doesn't care about you. You have to be your biggest advocate. So just knowing that when I wake up, I decide and I do the things that, I said, these are the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to have a positive, motivating day. And I will say it truly helps when you're debt free. The debt freedom part that I constantly talk about is just not to really impress anyone, but it's just to press upon you that, it's so important to free yourself from debt. As you free yourself from debt, you start to wake up, and then now you're like, wow, you're not so stressed. You're not worried about what's to come, because guess what? Everything financially will be okay. So really you can focus on the most important thing, which truly is, in my opinion, your spiritual life. So making sure that you have a daily routine is important. And then next, thirdly, is making sure that you have, I would say, a routine throughout the day, because again, I told you the big bad world will try to attack you throughout the day, but you have to have reminders. This is why you should always have some reminder, whether it's written or you're listening to something constantly throughout the day. You have to continue motivating yourself. You have to continue reminding yourself of where you're going. No one else is going to do it for you. See, what tends to happen is, and I want to stick to topic, which in this session is just talking about having a routine. And I really feel like later I need to do another session that just talks about, kind of putting your attitude in check and keeping it in check so that you become untouchable, unstoppable. But I will say, just having that daytime routine, it causes you to be untouchable, unstoppable. And so when negativity tries to attack you throughout the day, guess what? Negativity will have to find another person or someone else to attack, because you're not going for it. So when you have a routine, it is so absolutely important, especially a daytime routine. And then at night, the last important step of having a daily routine is you have to take a second, and you really have to really deprogram and decode your day. You have to make sure that you understand that, guess what? You made it through the day. You can't control anything that happened, but you do have the power to wake up the next day and to do it. So you have to make sure you are getting adequate rest. And most times people go to sleep with all the pressures of the world, that prior day or that current day on them, and this is why they're not resting well. So I challenge you, make sure you are sleeping, because what rest does is it revives you, it refreshes you, it helps you get started the next day. And not to include the way you treat yourself and your body is so absolutely important to having a great daily routine. So I know there's probably other things in there. If you know things that you actually do to make sure that you stay on routine, share them, put them in the comments, people honestly need to hear about it. These are just some of my truths. So I stay, in a daily routine. I'm like staying committed to, the basics and the things that I want to do and my goals and my dreams. So I just wanted to share these things with you. So hopefully you found something that could help or that you could share with someone else. Thank you for tuning into this session. And until next time, I still